Somebody somewhere is going to be able to help educate a child. Somebody somewhere is going to be able to help feed a family just by buying that one item. I was telling my friends this morning as we drove in that I always stop at Starbucks. Why? Because every cup of coffee that I buy from there, I know something is going back to Nyeri. Did you know that the best coffee at Starbucks comes from Nyeri? Hey, big up to Nyeri. And with that, I don't want to talk too much because we have a long night. And by the way, make sure that tonight, if you don't know somebody, walk the tables, meet and greet. Get to make sure that you go home with at least 10 new people that you know, and that you're going to build. Because this is an organization. And from what it's starting off right now, we are going places, right? We'll talk a little bit more as we get to meet the people behind this organization. And I'm just proud to be here. Back to you, Peter. Here's my lovely sister.
The reason why I did what my brother just talked about is because I was a timekeeper and he wasn't. Your Excellency, Dr. Joyce Banda, former President of the Republic of Malawi, Ambassador Ruben Brigiti, former representative of the United States of America to the African Union, Mr. David Gachero, Deputy Chief of Nation, Kenyan Embassy, and also my husband, ladies and gentlemen, the friends of Land for Life, present here this evening. Good evening. It gives me great pleasure to extend to each you all a very warm welcome on behalf of Land for Life, and to say how grateful we are that you have taken your time out of your busy schedules to come and spend the evening with us, fundraising for this wonderful cause. I would like to start by giving you a brief history of the organization that we are helping support today via Land for Life, so that if there is anyone among us that is not familiar with the organization, maybe they were possibly forced to come up here by a friend, you are familiar with who they are, what they do, and why we at Land for Life are so passionate about them. We are very passionate about the children who are living on the streets of Nyeri, Nyeri being a very small township. I'll tell you a little bit about the town of Nyeri. And for those of us who come from this country, I'll just let you know that the towns in Kenya are not like what you have here, where after a little frogging, looking around for stuff, you'll find a half-eaten burger, an almost full drink discarded in a trash bin. In our rural towns, waste is just that. Soiled plastic bags, broken bottles, animal refuse, in short, not a single thing for a child's consumption, even if they're homeless. Reverend Muindi, one of our elder reverend and the leader of my church, where I went to school, took together all these children and started putting together, and he placed them in the care of the PC area Mukurwe Church. And well-wishers began collecting food for them, for the children, so that at the very least, they had just one meal per day. With time, it was then determined that a shelter was needed, and so other donors magnanimously joined Reverend Muindi and the parish to support the cause. One of the principal donors, a man by the name Reverend Edward Dance, a former minister of the Norton Presbyterian Church in Darien, Connecticut, sold his house and donated a significant portion of the proceeds to the cause. With time and God's hand, the Tumaini Children's Ministry grew into a settlement with a capacity of about 300 children, and it was able to empower many others. Land for Life has become a worthy cause and has given a lot of sacrifice, and we have taken it upon ourselves to ensure that we'll be there for these children, and hence we have asked you to gather here tonight. We'd like you to support us through the silent auction that has commenced in the back, by the word of mouth, by contributing your time, technical or financial support, and by dancing to the wonderful music that we have in celebration here tonight. On that note, I'd like to welcome on stage George Mondi again to take the program over from here. God bless you, and thank you for joining us here tonight.
Thank you for that intro. That was pretty cool. How you guys doing? Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Alex Lee. I am the son of Bonnie Lee, who some of you have met. She's the co-founder of Learn for Life Kenya. I'm honored to be able to stand here and speak to all of you tonight, especially in the presence of Her Excellency, Dr. Banda, and all distinguished guests. This evening is quite literally a dream come true for Learn for Life Kenya. I speak tonight from a very unique perspective because I've been able to observe this organization's growth over the past 5 years. And I may have made the mathematicians in the room squirm a little because Learn for Life Kenya has only been an incorporated nonprofit since 2015. But I consider that journey to have begun many years before. For our family, the journey that led us to tonight started when my mother and I first went to Kenya in 2011. It was the summer between my 7th and 8th grade year. Prince William and Kate Middleton were newlyweds. The 8th Harry Potter movie had just come out, and I myself was 13 years old. My mother and I were presented with an opportunity to join a group on a mission trip to Nyeri, Kenya, and bring gently used shoes to the kids at Huruma and Tumaini children's homes. It was here that my mother and I fell in love with the kids and with the culture. At the time, I was no more than a child myself, so getting to see the way that people my age lived halfway around the globe was truly eye-opening. It was at these children's homes in central Kenya that I learned that the true currency of the world is not dollars or shillings, but happiness and love. What I noticed while living at Tumaini with these children who had next to nothing to call their own, was that they all felt the same emotions I did, sometimes reacting with disappointment or sorrow or worry, but more often and more remarkably, they reacted with joy and happiness. More happiness than I'd ever seen stateside. And when I say joy and happiness, I don't mean the joy that you get from getting the latest and newest gadget. I mean something deeper. It comes from a sense of gratitude, even and especially for the smallest things. I left there feeling awakened and humbled, more grateful for the important things in life. My mother left there feeling resolved to do more than provide shoes that would quickly wear out. She saw children the same age as myself, without parents, without shoes, and ultimately without a lot of hope for their lives past the children's homes. From her Western perspective, the answer seemed to be to develop the youth by equipping them with university education. So she set up and managed a scholarship fund through another nonprofit to do just that. Then, in 2013, our entire family had the opportunity to travel back to Nyeri, Kenya, and we accepted it. It was amazing for me to be able to bring our whole family, because this time I was able to see my brother and my father build the same relationships that I had 2 years previously while rekindling the ones that I had left behind. But the most important event that happened during this time was nothing less than a miracle. Anne Wendy Schminsky was in country visiting her family. It was her father, Reverend Wendy, who began the organization that created, developed, and currently manages the children's homes. One evening, our group and Anne's group were at a mutual friend's home for a meal, when God decided it was time for something really cool to happen. My mother was the last to get her food, and so when she came into the dining room to eat, all the chairs were taken, except one, which was conveniently located next to Anne. The two women got to talking. They quickly realized that they had much in common, from favorite books to favorite Bible verses to the way that they liked their tea. But the conversation quickly turned to how they both wanted to find a way to improve long-term beneficial changes in the lives of unincorporated youths in central Kenya. They both understood why immediate aid is often necessary to a developing nation, but decided to look towards a future of self-sustainability where relief is no longer required. It was at this dinner table, in a dimly lit room in the middle of Kenya, that a friendship was built. Both women went home, but they stayed in communication and decided to talk about how to make an impact. how to turn applicable education into a weapon to be used against material poverty, and how to teach young adults to use it not only in their own lives, but in the lives of all that they touch. How to give people the tools to care for themselves and the dignity to follow through with it. And then to watch them grow like bamboo, breaking the chains of material poverty. Through much hard work, many prayers, and countless hours, these two women have turned this organization from what used to be a couple of people on laptops into something that is now mobilized to change lives in the long term. One that is honored by a visit from a former ambassador and a former president. Seeing all of this has proved to me that God set the journey in motion that led to the formation of Learn for Life Kenya. And knowing these women, this is still just the beginning. Thank you very much.
This evening is about one of fostering dignity, inspiring hope, teaching skills, and transforming lives. I would therefore like to start by telling you about one of the young women who grew up in this community and has benefited from the kind of transformation that we are hoping will benefit more like her. Her name is Beatrice Kakali, and for those of you who have been watching the slideshow, she's the one in a blue suit. She always looks like $1,000,000, so that's who I'm talking about. So she's affectionately known as Bito by my family and my friends, and she inspires me and many others every day. I met Bito in Kenya at my parents' house in 2009. She had just graduated from high school and was therefore too old to continue living at the Tumaini Children's Home that you just heard about from Alex and others. So my parents took her in to help prepare her for the next stage of her life. So this joyful young woman became a member of my family and now calls my dad Buka, which is grandpa in Kikuyu, the predominant language in Nyeri. And she calls my mom Shosho, grandma. Despite the closeness that has evolved, it took Bito some time to share the hardships that she had endured that brought her to this point. Bito was born in the slums of a small town in western Kenya, about 250 miles away from Nyeri County. When she was just 6 years old, a conflict broke out in her community between the Maragoli tribe and the Wanga kingdom, and really put her family at risk. So they fled for their safety to Nyeri County. With no resources, the only shelter that they could once again afford was in the slums. Fortunately, with access to free primary education in Kenya, Bito was able to enroll in a school, a primary school, on the fringes of a slum community. Sadly, when she was in 4th grade, her father passed away, and he was the main breadwinner of the family. For the remainder of her primary schooling, Bito lived in abject poverty, not knowing where the next meal would come from. Sometimes she would go door to door, performing comedy acts to earn meals from neighbors. Her tenacity and resilience at an early age pushed her through her primary school, where she excelled extracurricular activities and academically, but the family struggles continued. The odds were against Bito when she graduated from primary school, as she did not have access to funds to pay for her high school. High school is not nationally funded in Kenya. Bito, however, did not give up. She had heard about the Tumaini Children's Home and the hope that it gave to children such as herself. Using the survival tactics she had learned from living in the slums, she boldly advocated for herself and asked to speak with a patron of the Tumaini Children's Home, who happened to be my dad, and he loves to tell her story. And within a few days, the intake process was completed, and she moved into her new home, the Tumaini Children's Home. Not unlike other children who are admitted into the orphanage, she went through a thorough health checkup at a nearby Sugar Baker Family Clinic, health clinic. This clinic was established by a US-based foundation, the Sugar Baker Family Foundation, and is under the purview of the Tumaini Children's Home. Once she was enrolled, she was able to complete her high school in good health without worrying about where her next meal would come from. She was also able to give back as a peer counselor to other children. She has hired 3 young women who grew up in the same orphanage that she did, and they in turn are helping others in various ways. The young people are committed to and enjoy paying it forward. Bito is also the treasurer of a newly registered community-based alumni organization. one that Learn for Life Kenya helped formalize. This month, Vito will be starting an internship with a 5-star resort in Kenya to round out her professional skills. What a journey. Stories like Vito's and others are what inspires Learn for Life Kenya, because we are able to clearly visualize what success would look like when impoverished youth are empowered, encouraged to believe in themselves, and enabled to achieve their full potential. Vito was able to succeed through a series of one-time fortunate events. We want to create a lasting and solid foundation that will allow successes like hers to be replicated over and over. As an organization, we believe that all children represent the future of Kenya and should have the support that they need to succeed in life. Our target community consists of young adults who were neglected, orphaned, violated, or abandoned as children. Our first project is partnering with the Tumaini Children's Home to help build a vocational training center on the grounds of the orphanage. When it is finished, it will offer accredited programs in highly marketable trades that will lead to employment or self-employment. According to the 2009 census, 90% of Kenyan high school graduates were seeking technical vocational training, a clear indicator of the high demand that existing institutions are not able to accommodate. With high youth unemployment rates of about 40%, we believe that the long-term success is through vocational training that will lead to employment and self-employment. Learn for Life Kenya is committed to economic development and is seeking to provide young people with vocational and entrepreneurial skills necessary to sustain themselves and impact their community. We are working closely with amazing young change agents who, like Vito, have overcome challenges that seem impossible to us. We are counting on these youth to own, manage, and lead community programs and drive their own futures. Early next year, we will be supporting the youth as they launch a poultry enterprise that will begin to teach relevant skills in agriculture and business. And once the poultry enterprise is established, we plan to launch a bread baking business. While our initial focus is with the vocational training center, we will be leveraging existing chicken coop as well as a brick oven to begin developing entrepreneurial skills. We are also partnering with the alumni of the Tumaini Orphanage, and I believe George mentioned this, about 300 kids who've gone through the orphanage, and we're going to be developing leadership capabilities with them that will enable community resilience and sustainability. Individuals like Vito are leading the way in this initiative as they inspire the younger brothers and sisters in the orphanage and also the surrounding community. At the end of the day, we are asking you to join us in a journey that will see disadvantaged youth engaged in productive employment, contributing to economic benefit, and strengthening their communities. This is what will bring about a sense of self-worth and hopefulness to these vulnerable children and youth. What we do to assist them is nothing in comparison to the gratitude they express as they become self-sufficient and community builders themselves. Help us make this noble and attainable desire a reality for people like Vito and all the people who look up to her as a role model. Together we can foster dignity, inspire hope, teach skills, and transform lives. Thank you.
Network, my good friend of mine for the last couple of years. Learn for Life Kenya team who is here. President Brady, Anne and Catherine, all protocols observed. I want to sincerely thank you guys for inviting me and being part of this process to bring about changes for our country. I feel privileged and honored to be part of this process to help our country and the youth. For those foreigners who are here who were wondering why Kenya right now, I just want to give you a global perspective of how things are in Southern Africa. 65% of our population, 25 years and under, youth. We have an explosion of policy in Africa. By 2050, we'll have a bigger population than China. Our situation right now is such that we have a lot of young people who are finishing school, and sometimes not all of them can fit in the right education process because the university of others. And as Anne mentioned before, about 90% of them are looking for vocational school. So our situation is such that this group, Learn for Life and Tumaini group, at least they are a sustainable project. And sustainable by means that they have already done their 3/4 of the work is already done. All they are asking is for a little work to finish their project and to implement a program. So this is one example of sustainable project that our government in Kenya is trying to encourage funding in Africa. So when you help here, you are creating communities that are stable, and maybe in 2050 you are creating a market other than China in the next 30, 40 years. So this is very good for you. It's a good thing when good people come together. A friend of mine this morning mentioned this to me, then to say that when good people come together, the world is very small. If you look next to you, you find all of you are from different parts of the continent. I can guarantee you, we almost represented the whole 5 continents of the world are here. And you are here to help Learn for Life, to help them move ahead and sustain themselves. And this is what we will be looking forward to. I really very happy for Anne and Catherine and Bonnie for putting these projects together. And on behalf of the Kenyan Embassy, I want to give you undivided attention on your project from now onwards, going forward. But at this particular time, we are here to create a sustainable project in Kenya, and to manage our community, to build community resilience, to build, to help youth. We have a significant number of people, of young people in Africa, and it is not enough for all of them to go to universities. So just here, I don't want to take a lot of time, because the best important points were raised by Anne and Catherine, but I want to say that we are very happy, we are very privileged that you've taken your time. We sincerely don't take for granted the time you have taken to come here and spend time with us this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Assistant Secretary over at the African Affairs Bureau at State Department, and then he went on to become the ambassador to the AU and Addis. So I'm very happy to introduce Ambassador Reuben Brindley.
I apologize for having to interrupt the flow of the evening, but unfortunately I have another commitment to go to. But I did want to take just a moment and talk not about these amazing young people that we're all here to learn about and to support. Those that you've already heard about, and those that you will hear more about this evening. But to talk about all of you. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I believe strongly that we are all called to a purpose. We are all called to make the world a better place, to make the world in the image of the Creator. Let me tell you a story that was once told to me when I was 16 and that has profoundly impacted my life and how I approach it. Perhaps you've heard it before. If you have, I apologize. But the story goes something like this. There was an old man who had been worn down by the cares of life, and he bought himself a secluded house on a beach where he could live out his final days. And one morning when he woke up, he saw the beach littered with starfish that had washed ashore overnight, and they all had been left to die. And as he was watching this, he saw a little boy walking up early morning, picking up the starfish one by one and throwing them back into the ocean. Thousands of them. And so upset by the futility of this little boy's efforts, he got himself out of his house, walked down to the beach, went up to this little boy and said, "Little boy, don't you know that what you're doing doesn't make a difference? Look at this, there are thousands of starfish. Don't you know that what you do doesn't matter?" The little boy picked up the starfish, the one at his feet. He looked at the old man, and he said, "It matters to this one." And he threw it back into the ocean. Over the course of the rest of this evening, you will hear about the amazing children that are being helped by Learn for Life. I believe strongly that you do not know, we do not know, what any one of these little girls or boys could grow up to be, what they could grow up to do. Perhaps they could grow up to be a head of state. Perhaps they could grow up to be a physician, like my wife did, a little girl who grew up in Ethiopia and came to the States of the United States as a refugee when she was 4. We don't know. What we do know, however, is that a little bit of help that we can give can help each one of them fulfill their God-given destiny. Now, I ask you, what will you do? What will you do to help make that happen? Let me ask the question differently. After you've paid your bills, after you've paid your mortgage and your car note, after you've set aside money for your children's college education, after you've done all the things that you have to do with your money, then you have some left over to do the things you want to do. What could possibly be more important than helping one of these young people go on to live a productive life in a way that allows them to help the next generation themselves? You see, ladies and gentlemen, let us be frank. These young people cannot eat our good intentions. They cannot be housed by our warm feelings. They need resources. Resources that we are in a position to give, resources that will be ably stewarded by Learn for Life, resources that can change a life. As I mentioned, I regret that I will not be able to spend the rest of the evening here with you tonight, but on my way out the door, I'll be making my contribution. And I ask you again, what will you do? Thank you very much.
Mixon, balancez la sauce.
And dance with me. Yes, please. This one is dedicated to all the women in the world. Women in Africa, Asia, Australia, North America, South America, Europe. And if there are any women left in Antarctica, this one is also for them. Oh, From the time of her delivery, the African woman was known to be a liability and not a profit, a loss and not a gain. She was to be seen and not to be heard, to be abused, humiliated and despised. Yet women of Africa and women of the world have evolved and transcended despite their hardship. They have survived inequalities, disintegration, physical, verbal and emotional abuse. Women of Africa have survived carrying fire from their heads, birds so full of their backs, all at the same time. Walking to the market, talking to themselves, for their voices were not to be heard, but still being cried. If you know that is true, that women we have come a long way. Let me see you shake your head left and right. And if you are a child, I'll come and pick you up from there. Let the dance let the girls win, let the girls win. Oh, that's the way, oh, it's all the way. Everybody throw your hands, everybody throw. We have come a long way as girls. Some of us come and pick some of you to dance with here. We rise because we wear many hats. We are mothers, teachers, politicians, managers, even soldiers, and still humble enough to be ideal wives. We rise because our struggles have made us stronger. Thus our backbones have not weakened but hardened to be strong as those of Tamils, and still we rise. We rise because of women who pave way for equality and justice. Women like Wangari Maathai, the first African woman to win a Nobel Peace Prize, President Ellen Johnson, the first woman to be elected president in an African country, Dr. Joyce Banda, Dr. Gloria Handel, Mother Teresa, Eleanor Roosevelt, Harriet Tubman, and of course your mothers, my mother, and of course you and I. We rise, and so as we celebrate one another today, I urge all the women to rise with one another as we face new challenges of HIV and AIDS, breast cancer, and other underlying problems. Yet still fighting for proper equality and respect. Let us empower one another with knowledge so we can help eradicate some of these problems. For knowledge is power and lack of it is death. Let us empower one another through education so that we can teach both the boys and the girls the value of the culture and her need to be respected. Let us empower one another economically so we can become financially independent. For we are the foundation of the home. Without us, the house cannot stand. Let us empower and partner, for united we stand, divided we fall, and we all need each other. Let us empower, partner, but to educate a woman is to educate the whole nation, because it takes a home to build a nation. Well, okay, now I'm going to come and pick some ladies. All right, now for this young lady has to come to take the stage. Clap for them. 1, 2, 3. music. Have a seat, everybody. Thank you so much. I just wanted to start with that song so that we can have some energy. But are you feeling good? Are you feeling good? There are some young children here that did not dance. I'm going to come and get you later on. But I am from Kenya, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. As I always tell people, when they told me I was coming to America, I said, hey! I was excited. I felt like coming to America, Queen of Zamunda. You know those days when they told you about coming to America, you're like, I am going to the land of milk and honey, yeah? So when I landed like this in America, I was so amazed. I said, wow. They have big roads like that, you know? Because those days in my country, it wasn't the same thing. I remember when I wanted to cross this road one day, this lady told me, ma'am, you got to press the button. I said, what? But because you know in Africa, the way we cross our roads, how do we do? We look left, and then what do we do? We look right, and what do? We run and we cross. So when I was just about to do that, this lady said, no, man, you got to press the button. I said, what? She said, you got to press the button. I said, the button. Oh! I press it here. You may now use the walkway. I said, America, the land of miracles. Even the road is talking to me. I was excited, you know, I was happy, you know. One day my friends took me to Popeyes. When they took me to Popeyes, I was in heaven. You know those days when I was coming up, chicken was Africa or in Kenya. We only had chicken for East and what? East and what? Now here chicken is pouring everywhere. Chicken. Every Friday when I got paid, guess where I was? Popeyes, eating some chicken. I loved that chicken until they started calling me the number 2 lady. Before you know it, I got myself some thick madams. But guess what? I still love the fact that I was in a wonderful country. And I always used to share this with my friends and my loved ones. I said, no, America is amazing. I remember I told my mother, I said, Mommy, I wish I could send you some chicken. Because the chicken here is so cheap. He said, it's only that they cannot let me do that at the customs. But the wonderful thing about America is that it also tells you that everything you do here is valuable. Because when I was growing up in Kenya, you know, when I tell someone that I want to be a performing artist, they look at me straight. They say, get another job. What kind of a job is that? You know, they don't regard a performer as a job, you know. If you want to say like now we are doing something wonderful, you know, we are trying to raise funds for a vocational center. But those days in Kenya, a plumber was no job. Am I lying? An electrician is not a job. But you come to America and you realize the first thing, your tap is not working. You're not going to call your brother-in-law to come and fix it. Am I lying? You have to call what? A plumber. And of course, they are paid very well, you know. So I started valuing that culture of that everything you do here in America is valuable. As we are raising money right now to help this wonderful vocational center, I remember one day when I was growing up, we had an issue with our gate, you know. The paint was wearing down. So my father, you know, he said, just call your cousin across the street there to come and paint the gates. So because, you know, there are no skills to teach people that you are only going to do this if you've learned about it. I don't know what kind of paint this brother came with. He painted the whole gate. The next day it started raining and the gate was raining also. Because the paint was wearing down. So when I come here to America and I see all these wonderful things, I say, yes, we are doing great. But then of course one day when I'm walking somewhere, I'm meeting my friends and they're telling me, oh, they're looking at me like, oh, you're wearing some African clothes. So of course they tell me, oh, they know you're an African woman. I'm like, oh, they're asking, are you from Africa? I say, of course, yes, I'm of Africa. They're like, oh, I'm from Africa. They're like, oh, you have an accent. Is having an accent a problem? No. Is having an accent a problem? It's not a problem, yes. Because if Americans go to Africa or to other continents, we say they have a what? We say they have a what? But why are they talking to me slowly? Like I don't understand English. So you know what? I started getting offended. One day I said, you know, maybe I need to do something. I said, maybe I need to get my English better. Because I know my English was wonderful, but just to learn the American accent. One day I picked up the phone. I said, can I help you? This lady said, can I speak to somebody who speaks English? I said, hey, I I got so offended. I said, you know what, God help me. Maybe I need to learn the American accent. So I bought this book called Learning the American Accent. I tried, and the only thing I got right was, what you gonna do? And even then, they told me I was wrong. I said, oh, so that's the case. So I said, you know what? From now on, I'm going to value who I am. That's why I always dress as an African woman. Because I realized when you value yourself, other people do what? They value you. When you respect yourself, other people do what? They respect you. So now I was going to work cooking my ugali, cooking that African food, and before you know it, they're like, oh, can you make for me that nice food you brought last time? I said, now you like my culture. So all of a sudden, I guess, they're telling me, oh, you look so beautiful in that outfit. Can you make for me something like that? So I realized the love you offer is the love you have in you. So if you look down on yourself, other people will see it is portrayed out there. So you know, as a woman also growing up those days in Kenya, what was known as beauty to me was different. It didn't reflect me, you know. Beauties of those days in the magazines were, you know, wonderful women, but some of them were not endowed from the back. Am I right? So that was the beauty, you know. So for me, I find it so hard because I said, you know, I have to hide who I am because I did not know that I was beautiful. And we are all beautiful. So one day a friend of mine was making fun at me. And she told me, Anna, you know what happened? I think I know why you were like that. When God was creating you, you must have been the last on the line that day. So God was using clay. So God created you, And then finally he said, my child, you can go. Then he realized he has some clay left behind. He just scattered on your mind. I said, guess what? Madam Bana, you can agree with me. We are African women, and we are what? We are beautiful. So from that day, now here I am in America, and guess what is beauty number one? They all want to look like us. Am I lying? They want to have the nice in the hair. They want to have the nice lips. So you know, these days I just hold my head up and I say I am an African woman, and I am proud. So I want to end by just telling you to be who you are. We are here because we value our culture. We are here because we value the people we see back home. And that's why we want to share what God has given us and portray it out there to the world. If we didn't value our culture, if we didn't value ourselves, we would not be here sharing today. And as you see the young children growing up, I remember when my mother was telling me every day, Anna, make sure you do your best and have your own money. And now I have learned that not only having your own money is the best, but giving back is better. Because when you give back, just as the guest who was here said, you don't know what you have done. You have changed someone's life in so many ways, even if it's $10, even if it's $5, even if it's $15. And in any avenue that we are, as women, as men, with whatever talent we have, we always do our best to share because we don't know whose life we are touching. So I want to end with this poem. This poem is about being proud of your culture, being proud of what you bring to the table, and it's called Bringing the Flavor. As I speak, rhymes flow into my mind, and as I blaze the stage, I hope you will relate and comprehend my linguistic phrases. As I speak your dialectic phrases and use my accentual tongue to bless thee with words of wisdom. I am a victim of discrimination. No, not because I'm black, and sure enough I ain't white, but because I am an immigrant, an alien, a foreigner. See, I speak the same words, comprehend the same phrases, but just because my tongue rolls in a different way, that don't mean I'm dumb. And yes, comprehend the English, because I probably speak and know more English than you. See, I'm tired of being labeled, people talking to me slowly like I'm dumb, having an issue of some sort. Disability ain't nobody's choosing, but sister, brother, I am fine, 100% sane. Matter of fact, much better than you in many ways than one. I mean, if you cannot say my name right, moi, la, go, then you have no right to tell me to say water if I know it as water. I mean, what is the meaning of this conversation? And what is my shoes, you have no say in my world. And don't you dare command me to walk in your shoes, because I love the smell of my feet, the feel of my shoes, and the history of my life. I mean, have you ever seen a monkey before? I mean, in real life? Do you know what it does? How it jumps? Have you had the pleasure of walking bare feet, feeling the sand tickling your toes? Have you been cramped up in a bus, Lord, and you people, each talking different languages, but their faces looking so similar? Have you had the pleasure of dancing to the rhythm of the drums, and the music of the ululation? Making you feel so exhilarated? No. See, you cannot understand. Just like I do not understand the Halloween madness. The calling before coming to visit. The biggest sale of the year. The exchange of gifts at Christmas, and the time clock moving forward and backward. My ways are not your ways, and your ways cannot be mine. So please do not try to change me, because I have no pleasure in asking you to change, for I love you anyway, whether it's Hispanic, African, American, Indian, Asian, we are all God's children. So why can't we relate, love our difference, exterminate our ignorance that is killing us, and bring flavor into this beautiful world? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.